Friday morning. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we'll get into the market watch, stocks we're paying attention to, and your local and national stories. Got a bunch of updates today for you as well as we go into this 3-day weekend. Quick programming note, don't forget, Monday, McCollum on Business will not be here as the markets are closed. We'll be back on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., so just make that a mental note as well and enjoy, hopefully, what you have a 3-day weekend coming up as well. But with all that being said, let's get right into that market watch. Right, so the big question is, what's the market doing today? It is up completely here. Here on this Friday, the Dow Jones right now, as you can see, is up 329 points to 50,650. S&P 500 is up 35 points to 7483. The Nasdaq's up 144 points right now. It's trading at 29,591. The Russell 2K, the small cap index, is up 20 points to 2868. Then you got Bitcoin, right? It's just right there at 77,069, hanging out in that 676, 77,000 range here all a week after last week being up in that 80,000 range as well. So Wall Street is heading for a winning week overall here early on this Friday trading day. Treasury yields are going down here this morning. They are easing here. Oil prices, also going down after the last couple days with the comments and things from the Iran side in that war. But of course, the big talk right now is what gas prices are headed into this Memorial Day weekend, as a lot of people travel, drive, boats, etc. So that's a big topic today. But gas prices here this morning, at least oil, is coming down as we look at it here today as well. So there's going to be the Dow today, by the way, it went at the 300 points. It hit a new record, 50,623 here at the 300-point mark. So that is a new record here for the Dow Jones. But being driven, of course, by the Treasury yields going down here today as well. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. First one, let's go with the beauty stock, Estee Lauder out there. You know them, cosmetics. Well, they're up 11.34%. And they're based off of them and a company called Puig, Puig. They did confirm yesterday that they have ended their talks of a potential merger. So that has ended. Estee Lauder's up 11.34% here today as well. And then we're going to look at the chip maker. We've talked about a little bit here, ARM. They've had some issues, but they've also been dominant here on the stock market. Well, they're up 0.50% right now on the market. We pull back and look at the macro here, 42% 4-day rally this week for ARM Holdings as well. We looked at them earlier in the week. So they are 1.15% up right now, but they are on pace for its best week since late April. Back then it jumped a measly 40%. Now it's up, 42% coming into the trading day. So if it stays up here, it'll obviously go higher than that 42% here with this 1.29% up for ARM Holdings now. And, of course, chip makers and kind of what we're talking about. We're going to talk about AMD later in the show. We're going to look at their stock. They gave us a little bit of insight on that chip market. But first, we're going to look at Merck here as well. You know them, pharmaceuticals. Well, they're up today as well, 3.84%. Their treatment for lung cancer in partnership with a Chinese-based company. Well, that treatment cut tumor progression risk by 65%. This is in a phase 3 study as well. So this partnership between the Chinese company and Merck, positive phase 3 results, which is your last phase if you didn't know. Merck is up 3.92% based off of that news today as well. Later on when we come back, IMAX, right? Big weekend. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is out. Expected to be a big blockbuster movie here on Memorial Day weekend. But IMAX is in the news, speaking of movies. Ross stores, we looked at TJX companies, TJ Maxx. We're going to look at Ross here today as well. Take-Two Interactive Forget about the results or anything they do. They said they reaffirmed something yesterday that your kids and maybe some of your friends will be super excited about. And then AMD, as I told you, we're going to look their bonus stock today because of what their CEO said yesterday, and leading these chip rallies up here as we're talking also. So now, first of all, let's get to some stories that you need to know. Yesterday, kind of an interesting development. President Trump called off plans to sign a new executive order on artificial intelligence. Not only did he call it off, he called it off just mere hours before the expected White House ceremony. He said he called it off because he was worried the measure could dull America's edge on AI technology. Trump said he was postponing the event, which was going to happen in the Oval Office with tech industry executives. So he did not like what he saw in the order's text. His exact quote was, quote, "We're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead." That's what Trump told reporters after he canceled that. The order would have established a framework for the government to vet the national security risks of the most advanced AI systems before the public releases. Is what that would have done. The government has been out there warning companies and warning financial agencies of the cybersecurity risks around using heavily these AI systems. And now, so the government was kind of talking about, been a lot of pressure of the government to kind of overlook and oversee these companies so they could warn, or oversee these AI companies so they can warn other companies of some of the defects. Well, that executive order is now off to this side as well. So now, obviously, the directive was being characterized because it was going to, these AI companies were going to have to, have the government vet their AI systems. They were going in there to do it with this executive order. This directive was being characterized as a voluntary collaboration with the participating U.S. based tech companies. So this is Anthropic, OpenAI, Google with their AI systems. Being that it was canceled because of government oversight on the AI, do you think maybe these tech CEOs got to the president to not sign that executive order into play yesterday? So interesting developments. Things don't get canceled that close very often. So interesting development there. But follow up here in terms of, right, we talked about the chips here. We're going to look at AMD later. Well, update on Samsung here. Because Samsung, biggest chip maker out there in the world, well, they're about to go on strike. And, well, the labor union members will begin voting today on a tentative wage deal. It could deliver hefty bonuses to the chip workers. But more importantly, right, for those of us that deal with computers, everyone, could avert the major strike at Samsung this week. The company said a company and its union got together and said they reached the provisional agreement late Wednesday. Government mediated talks did work here. They had first rejected it, and then they kind of went through it again as well. But this all avoids, if it is ratified, a planned 18-day strike due to start today as well. The dispute unfolded against the backdrop of the global artificial intelligence boom, as we talk about, and that boom has turbocharged Samsung's memory chip business and obviously raising South Korea's economic growth and their stock market because Samsung is so dominant in that market. So the company and the union's lawyer have both told media companies over there that the vote, initially scheduled to begin on Saturday, will instead begin on Friday afternoon. That's how fast they want the union to vote and ratify these agreements. A separate union document seen by some media people said the vote will run through May 27th and also be conducted online. 70,000 members are expected to be eligible to vote. The agreement automatically ratified if more than half cast ballots, and a majority of those half vote to approve it. So it's pretty easy bar to get over as well. Local reports in South Korea say the agreement is likely to pass. Most union members come from that chip division, and they want their money, right, moving forward. So, memory chips, chips in general are just skyrocketing because of the delay. And wait till you hear later on what AMD's CEO is saying about the demand on these chips as well. So this is good news. Price is already high on them. A strike obviously would have just damaged that industry. And then we're talking chips from cell phones to everything we use here, not just AI computers out there. Another update for you, Waymo. Well, we do know that they canceled service or recalled service in other places, such as Atlanta, and they said no service interruptions here in the Phoenix metro area. We said all that last week and into this week. Well, now we know Waymo is temporarily halting freeway operations for its robotaxi service in several U.S. markets, all because the company is working to address that performance issues in construction zones, we're finding out now. Yeah, they're pausing their freeway operations while updating its software. Waymo said the pause affects only freeway driving and that surface street operations do remain active and everything is fine there. The company said the vehicles navigate construction zones more than 10,000 times per day and that it is using the pause to improve robotaxi performance on the freeways. Right, so they're talking about freeways, and then they go, oh, by the way, we're updating our construction side as well. It's kind of snuck the construction side into things. This announcement comes, of course, as Waymo paused operations in Atlanta following that flash flood incident. And then they also are separately working to improve performance around construction zones and flooded highways everywhere else. So you might not see a Waymo on a freeway here in the valley. No update if Phoenix is in fact affected by this in terms of the freeway travel. It's always weird to me to see a Waymo on the freeway, to be honest with you, out there. And then talk a little bit about Walmart. And it's pretty dominant out there in the retail space, obviously, especially as inflation's taken over. People looking for value out there. Well, Walmart's basically putting a red flag out there and warning us consumers. They issued a warning yesterday after its Q1 earnings report, and they basically put a big red flag up that rising fuel costs could soon hit consumers at their checkout counters as seasonal tax refund boosts are drying up. Inflation is outpacing wages for the first time in years. So this is a big deal when Walmart signals this. A lot of companies will not do price increases if Walmart doesn't do it, and Walmart's signaling they are coming. Here's the exact quote here. I think higher tax returns muted some of the pressure related to higher fuel prices, and we're in a period of time right now where those tax refunds are largely not coming in. I think consumers are going to feel more of that pressure from higher fuel prices. CFO there of Walmart. His name is John David Rainey, by the way. He was telling CNBC yesterday. Rainey went on to say Walmart leadership is closely monitoring its economic headwinds. Quote, it's something that we're keeping a close eye on, unquote. We've heard a lot about this, the increased tax refunds that we got out there or you got out there. They're saying are kind of is what's giving this economy the look of it's continuing to tuck along with the inflation ticking back up. Well, that's starting to dry up. And we had that story earlier this week that you're going through your tax refund money quicker this year than you have in other past years as well. So Walmart signaling that dries up, pricing's going to come up as well. Walmart went on to highlight a widening gap between income groups, noting that while wealthier households are spending with confidence in many categories, the lower income Americans are becoming increasingly more budget conscious. Now, they're having problems. They're trying to find a way to navigate all this financial distress, and gas prices is the number one reason. Budgets and wallets are tightening up out there in the market as well. So it's not good that Walmart's signaling this because it's going to come in a lot of other places as well once Walmart lets it slide there. And of course, we told you oil is dropping today, but on Memorial Day weekend, of course, is this weekend. Means a lot of people hitting the roads, boats, car trips, etc. Well, gas prices, as we know here in the valley, are continue to be high. 475, 485 out in the East Valley. Seen them both there. In all 50 states, we know it's not doing well because everything is sitting above $4 a gallon going into this weekend. The national U.S. average was $4.56 per gallon on Thursday, up 43% from a year ago, 13% higher than a month ago. But AAA gives us those numbers as well. If you're headed to California this weekend, well, they rely heavily on fuel imports, and they have high taxes and fees on their gas. It's something like $1.30, $1.40 in taxes and fees on their gases. They're over $6 a gallon in the the city proper areas. You get up to Santa Barbara. I saw yesterday and heard some $5 ranges there. Other Western regions, we all know, remain well above the national average. Even the Gulf Coast states, well, they sit right at the $4 mark across the United States as well. So a big weekend here for travel. Is this going to curtail travel is kind of the question that you're looking at there. Papa Mike chimes in and says, tax money? What did I miss? Do we get tax money from someplace? The refunds, if you qualify for one. Papa Mike, you cajillionaires, Papa Mike, don't get tax refunds. You have to pay. Those of us that are self-employed don't get them either, so I understand your pain out there. Hey, when we come back here, of course, at McCollum on Business, appreciate you following us and watching us here at TME Media AZ on YouTube as well. When we come back, local stories coming your way. Last check into the market here this week before the 3-day weekend. Don't forget, off on Monday here, McCollum on Business. Be back on Tuesday. Hey, we got to finish up this show. Flagstaff doing something new yesterday. We'll talk about that coming up. So come on back, McCollum on Business. Back here, McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining us here on this Friday. Of course, a 3-day weekend for McCollum on Business coming up this weekend. Be back on Tuesday morning here and we wrap up. And when we wrap up, we get this all up on demand as well on YouTube, Robot TV, and of course over on Rumble, folks. All on demand there as well. You can catch us live on Robot TV or here at YouTube, TME Media AZ. And we appreciate you catching us live as well. Even if you're watching us on demand, thank you very much. Share us with your friends as well. Folks, we can't thank you enough for the support we've gotten here with adding some other ways for people to catch the programming we do here at TME Media AZ. Of course, right when we get done here, we go into the main event live 8 to 10 a.m. Me and 17-year veteran, NFL veteran Dale Hellestray. We'll get you updated on the sports world. Another walk-off for the Diamondbacks last night. Wow, Carolina finally loses a hockey game. Basketball news and notes with those playoffs continuing. Folks, it's a busy time around here. And we'll get you ready for the 3-day weekend. Pit stops coming up today as well. Indy 500 weekend, Carb Day here on Friday. And then the race on Sunday. Of course, NASCAR, big, devastating news in the NASCAR world. It's being addressed on the show toward the end of it because we had to add it on at the end. Obviously broke yesterday. And we're going to do a tribute here probably over the weekend when, quite frankly, I can find kind of words to put together with the shocking news out there. Of course, we're talking about Kyle Busch and that news yesterday. That's coming up later today on the pit stop. And probably a tribute coming up some point this weekend. I'll talk more about that in the sports shows as well. Then, of course, you've got, the Real Matrix today at noon on demand. Noon on Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME media. As I said, there's a channel button on the top. It goes something live channel. Click on the channel if you'd like. If it doesn't pop up for you, the main Rumble page is kind of convoluted. As we upload videos, it kind of sits there. Since today's our last show of the week, Rumble will be the Real Matrix will be the first two videos when it comes out at noon. It will get pushed down next week, though, so that's where that channel button comes in. And, folks, it'll be up noon today, that and on your free podcast systems. The Real Matrix, Angry Patriot, if you search that, it comes up as well. Data centers is the subject today for the Real Matrix. So tune into that as well. We appreciate it very much. And with all of that happening, let's get right back into the Market Watch. Good day. Markets are going to, looks like, at least early in trading day, going to finish on a positive week. Here coming up, we just have this breaking right now, and it should not surprise you. Consumer sentiment hits fresh record low in May. Obviously, inflation worries are driving consumer sentiment down. This report is coming out right now as well. Higher prices grow. The fear of higher prices is growing in this country, and that's why consumer sentiment, fresh record low here as well. This is the University of Michigan survey. I tell you what, let's get through the stock market, and I'll come back to this because this is just breaking right now. But consumer sentiment, fresh record low. Right now, the Dow Jones is up 243 points to 50,564. Did hit a new record earlier today. When it hits 300 points, it hit that new record. S&P 500 is up 19 points right now. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback. Is it because of this consumer sentiment report that came out here just a few minutes ago? Then you've got the NASDAQ's up 34 points right now. The Russell 2K, that continues to be up, but barely 7 points up for that. So we are seeing a little bit of a pullback here with this consumer report coming out. Bitcoin, it's at 76,736, so it's come down from the 77,000 we looked at earlier in the show as well. Treasury yields are easing today, but obviously the story that we're looking at right now that just broke, before we get to stocks, the index of consumer sentiment fell to 44.8. The preliminary reading was 48.2. Big drop here. It's also well below the 49.8 level that was at the end of April. Consumer sentiment is falling like a rock right now, folks, out there. And it's not really a surprise, right? Inflation expectations over the year ahead rose to 4.8%. It was at 4.7% last month. That's the expectation people are saying inflation could get to. Back in February, before the Iran war began, the reading was 3.4%. So big numbers there. Longer-term inflation is expected to rise 3.9%. In April, they were expecting the 3.5% as well. So no surprise, the Iran war, the inflation numbers we're seeing, causing consumer sentiment to be record lows right now, according to that University of Michigan study coming out as right now, actually, right as we were coming back from that break. That report hit the waves out there as well. And we're seeing a pullback on the market a little bit here. We'll have to see what it does the rest of the day. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, big movies coming out here. Blockbusters are happening. And then we're going to look at IMAX here. Obviously, that big screen sound movie theater chain. 15.79% up for IMAX Corporation right now. They said that they're exploring a sale. They've had preliminary talks with potential buyers as well. A source did tell CNBC that IMAX's bankers occasionally test the waters for interest about a sale. So they they say they test all the time for this sale. So we'll have to see if nothing comes out of this. But that news of them being reportedly discussions having of selling IMAX 15.84% right now. That would be an interesting sale because so many movie companies all rent and license the IMAX theater chain, right? AMC, Cinemark, Harkins. So if they were sold to one big company, like let's say they were sold to AMC, does that mean Harkins and them obviously won't want to do business with IMAX anymore moving forward? So that's a fascinating sale proposal. But just on that news, 15.41% up right now. Now let's look at discount retailers out there. Ross Stores is what we're going to look at. Their sales are up today 6.06%. They had stronger than expected quarterly earnings report for them. They also raised its comp sales forecast as well as earnings guidance for the full year. It's all positive right now for Ross as people are looking for bargains. 5.92% up for Ross Stores here today. Take-Two Interactive, if you don't know what this company is, they're the stock we're looking at right now. Down 5.70% as we talk. Video games is what this company specializes in. You might have heard of one called Grand Theft Auto. This is a highly anticipated release that's been delayed for many, many times now as well. Well, Take-Two Interactive down 5.78%. They had a small revenue beat in the last quarter. The big news for this company is simple. They said Grand Theft Auto 6 is still on track for a November launch. This has been delayed multiple times. This company needs not only that this game get released, they need a good outing from this game as well. Grand Theft Auto is still on for that November launch is the big story here. But obviously, investors today have them down 5.21% right now. And then AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, is our bonus stock here today. 3.31% up as of right now. We know there's an uptick in chip stocks today. Samsung's memory chip market is obviously that strike might not happen now. It looks like it's not going to happen, which is going to not help them. It's going to help demand because they're not going to shut down and make demand worse. But we still know there's a shortage out there. The reason why we're looking at AMD right now is because their CEO, she predicted the elevated demand for CPUs will last for 5 years. They're saying she's saying demand for CPUs for 5 years, which means elevated prices for CPUs based off of, and it's being driven by the use of AI systems and computers, and growth is what's fueling that market as well. So AMD on that news, probably why many chip stocks are up today as well with that Samsung story happening earlier on that strike. Hey, let's go up to Flagstaff here this morning, and the Flagstaff Airport's doing something it's never done before, folks. They welcomed their first regularly scheduled main fleet jetliner. What we mean by that? A big boy airplane, not larger than 50 seats, landed in Flagstaff on Thursday. Flagstaff Airport is one of the only commercial airports in northern Arizona. Commercial airlines have operated from Flagstaff for many decades now, but you'll be able to fly to and from Flagstaff on a main fleet airliner. American Airlines, folks, is now flying out of on the big boy American, not a regional jet. American Airlines upgraded its regional service between Flagstaff and Dallas. It went from a Canadian regional jet, that's that CRJ 700. It's now an Airbus A319. A 319 is a larger aircraft with more passenger capacity. The aircraft operates more efficiently at high-altitude airports than the smaller regional aircraft do. As recently as 2019, Flagstaff Airport was only being serviced by planes with only 50 seats. Well, now 150 seats is what we're in greater now with the A19 up there in Flagstaff. So Flagstaff Airport getting big time. And I was reading what you have to do to prep for this. It's not just the the terminal, the gates. They had to repaint lines on the airport to accommodate the wider jet and things to that effect up there in Flagstaff. A monumental day yesterday for the Flagstaff Airport. And then we got to talk battery storage. We know Arizona is one of the biggest markets for battery storage, where basically solar panels get stored and we do the energy and get put into those battery storage containers. And we know Arizona added the second most battery storage of any state nationwide in the first 3 months of the year. We talked about our battery storage capabilities and growth levels a few weeks ago here on the program. And that's now we're finding out more about it because of a new report from the Solar Energy Industries Association. That's the SEIA out there. Arizona added about 940 megawatt hours of utility scale battery storage in the first quarter of this year. That's about as much energy as 1,000 homes use for a month, but it's about 36% less than what was added at the same time last year here in Arizona. So we're still way high in our batteries, just down from last year. The SEIA says even though we had that 36% drop, they anticipate there will still be strong battery storage growth throughout the rest of the year. They say nationally that batteries have a specific strength relevant this year. Batteries are helping utilities handle peak power later in the day. They don't have to buy it from other utilities late in the day. They can just pull it from the battery of savings out there. The report also found that beyond utility growth, data centers, data centers drove strong growth off the grid as well. So data centers employing, out by where I am, there's a big battery farm. It's right there by all the data centers that, of course, pulling from those battery powers as well. So multiple uses here for those batteries. Arizona continues to be one of the best states in getting the battery storage out there as well. Now, folks, this weekend, right, you got the Indy 500, the Coca-Cola 600, NASCAR Charlotte this weekend. Diamondbacks at home against Colorado. Big 12 tournament happening today and tomorrow. ASU advanced last night. They'll play tonight as well at 8 p.m. All of this is happening out there. Now, you want some ridiculousness in your sporting event. You got hockey, basketball still happening. Well, now there's a big competition starting that it's going to be, people are going to be competing while using banned substances. This is not a joke. This weekend, in the shadow of a Las Vegas casino, it's a one-day competition that has sparked controversy, but they're also unapologetically saying we're going on with it and we don't care. Yes. Obviously, this has been denounced by anti-doping agencies, global sports federations. Well, it's being championed, though, by a bunch of swimmers, sprinters, weightlifters, and even the people backing these games as well, saying these games need to happen. They're called the Enhanced Games, folks. It's going to open Sunday. Months of headlines, months of people saying this is bad for sports, etc. What they do is the Enhanced Games, rather than ban the use of performance-enhancing drugs, organizers of the Enhanced Games have built the entire event around their use and appeal. Yes, folks. 42 athletes will compete. The competitors, who do include past Olympic medalists, Cody Miller, swimmer, there is going to be in this. Shane Ryan as well. Ben Proud, a sprinter. Fred Curley is going to be in this. They're not required to use drugs to join the Enhanced Games. They could elect to do so, though, as part of a 12-week trial supervised by the Games over in Abu Dhabi. Many athletes also trained over there and got on it. It's a regulated. It's not like you just go home and pump yourself with it as well. If the athletes do elect to compete in the PEDs, they receive a custom drug regimen crafted by the Games medical staff. Could pick from drugs across 5 approved categories. The categories are testosterone esters, anabolic agents, peptides, and growth factors like metabolic modulators and stimulants. Yeah. The most popular category of drugs taken, by the way, testosterone or testosterone esters are the two popular. 91% of the doping athletes use that regimen, according to clinical trial released by the Games this week. Human growth hormone was used 79% of athletes. Of the 42 athletes competing, 36 took part in the trial. 34 used PEDs, and 2 others trained naturally. The game supports safe, responsible, and clinically supervised use of performance enhancements, according to the company. They say not the indiscriminate use of restricted substances, is what that company claims. If you want to see some ridiculousness this weekend, there you go, Sunday. Make you aware of that nonsense out there. Hey, well, don't forget, we're off on Monday here in McCollum on Business. We'll be back on Tuesday, 7 a.m. after the holiday as well. Appreciate you joining us here on this Friday. I know school's out and everybody's getting ready for the weekend. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you Tuesday morning, 7 o'clock, here on McCollum on Business.